Welcome to the Zinnov podcast. You're listening to our Business Resilience series, where we bring to you conversations between eminent industry stalwarts and thought leaders from across the globe as they discuss their insights on overcoming challenges and the mindset that help them navigate the journey of crisis, resilience, and growth.
Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Zinnov podcast, Business Resilience series. I'm Pari Natarajan, CEO of Zinnov, and I'll be your host for today. Today we have with us Sandeep Kalra, CEO of Persistent Systems. Sandeep also serves on Persistent's board as an executive director. He's helming the transformation of Persistent from a niche technology player into a multifaceted, new-age digital transformation partner to their customers. With more than 25 years of experience in the IT services industry, Sandeep has held many leadership positions at the likes of HCL, Harman, Symphony Telecom. Welcome to this episode, Sandeep. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Pari.
Sandeep, you work with a range of technology companies and regularly meet with CXOs at these firms. Can you give us a view on the current state of enterprise software landscape and how are they impacted by the current market trends?
Pari, the enterprise software industry has experienced significant fluctuations in recent years. While the acceleration in digital adoption induced by the pandemic has positively impacted the industry, the troika of rising inflation, Russia-Ukraine conflict, the subsequent action by the Fed leading to interest rates rising over the last 9 to 12 months have created significant headwinds for the industry. The industry markers such as deaccelerating revenue growth, declining public company and private company valuations, and drying VC fundings are just small illustrations of the challenges very clearly.
You work with a various set of customers. You have worked with hyperscalers, you work with private equity funded companies, you work with VC funded companies, you work with publicly traded software companies. Are the trends different across these segments?
So interestingly, all these four segments, the hyperscalers, the horizontal, vertical, public listed companies, specifically the ones that have gone public over the last several years, the PE-owned companies and VC-backed digital natives, all of these are having different kind of dynamics. So just to give you examples, when we look at hyperscalers, we are talking about companies like AWS or the Amazon AWS part of it, Azure part of it, GCP, and so on. So while the pandemic led to a lot of acceleration for these companies and they signed significant backlog for their cloud services, they are now facing headwinds in making those backlogs translate into revenues for themselves. And that's where the enterprises are getting a little bit more shy in cloud adoption because they've seen cloud bills rise significantly on consumption. And they are looking to partners like ourselves to prudently work with the cloud provider and the enterprise to have use cases that can drive consumption and get that backlog to revenue. If we look at the private equity based companies, now certain number of these transactions happened over the last several years. A typical private equity transaction has a life cycle of 3 to 5 years. And depending on where in that life cycle the transaction is, the company is, they have to now wait out this whole cycle a little longer because revenue acceleration is not happening at the pace that they wanted. So it's about cost optimization. It's while innovating at the same time. So there is a different dynamic in the PE companies. And if you look at VC funded companies, let's say late stage companies, which were hoping to either go public or be exiting towards a strategic and so on, they have a similar kind of challenge as well, where conserving the cash, and each of these PE companies, whether it's Sequoia, whether it's others, are asking their portfolio companies to conserve cash at least till 2025. And so very different dynamics playing out. It is all about doing more with less, innovating while conserving cash on things which are business as usual. And this is also throwing up very good opportunities for companies to become leaner and stronger, and for partners like us to engage meaningfully.
Interesting that you talked about your work with enterprise and how you're working with hyperscalers to help their customers move on to cloud, but also you work in healthcare and BFSI, several of your customers in those areas. And they've seen a massive tech adoption over the last few years. And how are they reacting to the current, if you may call it, slowdown? Are they slowing down their technology spend, or they continue to accelerate? Or is there any change you see in the enterprise segment, especially in the BFSI healthcare?
So in today's economic climate, any enterprise, whether it is in BFSI, healthcare, or other industry segments, they're all facing headwinds from rising cost because of inflation and a slowing economy given the geopolitical issues and the various other dynamics related to that. Now, all these businesses are reassessing their investments in innovation and digital initiatives. It's not this that they are trying to stop those initiatives. It's about, doing those initiatives, reprioritizing the spend, looking at what is must have in these environments, and within that also looking at trends where you could achieve, let's say if you were spending $100 on a digital program, how can first you reprioritize, get it to 90, and within that 90, using globalization and other near shore, offshore, kind of partners, etc., drive even more, so that you are able to, while you're reducing the spend, do more with that spend and keep the critical parts of your digital transformation alive. Because a number of these initiatives are long range initiatives. Second, what we are seeing is, in COVID times there was a trend that started, which was deprioritizing physical investments and putting them in technology investments. So to give you an example, the banks at that point in time, whatever was their strategy to open newer branches, they reprioritized that. So they basically deprioritized physical branches, got away from that strategy, launched more and more digital products. Healthcare also became more digital in nature. So a number of those things are continuing. So the tech spend is getting impacted, but it is not the first spend to get impacted. So while yes, we will see reprioritization, reallocation of dollars, the programs are still continuing, and we need to work with our customers to get the priorities right, and also see what needs to go on cloud and other things and so on and so forth.
One of the things which has happened in the last 6 months is the pace of technology innovations continue to accelerate, right? With open AI, generative AI coming in. When the companies add a digital transformation roadmap, now they are looking at, hey, what is this new technology coming in? How do I look at those experiments, continue to invest on those experiments, because that could be very disruptive, plus still drive efficiency. You're seeing that in enterprise, asking you questions around, hey, what are these new technologies coming in? And are you being their digital transformation partner? How do they want to partner with you?
So this whole trend about open AI part being initiated by Microsoft, the chat GPTs of this world, while there's a lot of buzz around it now, this train started a few years back. So we have been working with our customers, and we have been trying to see whether it is about increasing our own developer productivity on programs that we execute for them, whether we are doing product development or we are working with enterprise companies. Even things like their own employee facing initiatives, can we use chatbots, etc., integrate technologies like a chat GPT, and in an environment where not everything needs to go back to the cloud. So there are ways and means of using these technologies in more a private kind of an incident. So we have a CTO organization that has been working on this. We have about 150 people dedicated to innovations like this at any point in time. And so, yeah, there are some good initiatives, and there are some early adopters, and there are some people who are waiting and watching.
We are starting to see the slowdown, but the technology innovation cycle has not slowed down. The enterprise adoption of technology is not really slowing down. So going back to the enterprise software sector, right, which is what we started with, it's just they're kind of in this mode where they got to continue to accelerate innovation, but they got to do more with less, right? They can't invest like what they did in 2 years. So, what are the transformation levers are they starting to pull? Because if they slow down on innovation, there's lots of interesting VC funded companies which could potentially go and gain market share. So they can't afford not to innovate, but they can't afford to spend as much as they spent during the last 2 years. How are you helping them in navigating these tough times?
There are multiple different kinds of companies within the enterprise software companies, and there are different horses for different courses. So for example, if we are looking at companies that went public in the last 2-3 years, now a number of these companies were very fast growing companies, and since they were growing very fast, they never worried about globalization. They never worried about balancing their spend between, let's say, the professional services part being entirely onshore versus whatever else. For companies like that, where the revenue acceleration has now slowed down to your point of rule of 40, and their valuations, etc., have got hit, and their profitability will further go down because the revenue acceleration is declining. The things that we are discussing with CXOs out there are prioritization in terms of globalization, prioritizations in terms of functions, things like professional services can be done like a science. Not every professional services implementation needs to start ground up and be custom. And last but not the least, as an organization, for example, we deal with enterprises, and those are customers or potential customers to these software companies as well. Having a thicker alignment on a go-to market and putting reference architectures for different plays within an enterprise, partnering with these companies. So that is the kind of thing that we are doing, let's say, with the companies that are newly public and so on. For companies that are mature companies that have been in existence, they may be large public companies or whatever else. There are product portfolio rationalizations that are happening. There's site consolidations that are happening. There is captive takeovers that are happening. So there are different plays for different parts of markets, but the essential underlying theme is kind of intermittent fasting, where you're basically going on a diet, making sure that you're cutting the spend where it can be cut while fueling your innovation and not stepping back on the competitive differentiation that you want to create. So there are different initiatives like that happening.
One of the other things we hear, Sandeep, is re-platforming, because they bought a whole lot of companies, acquired a bunch of companies, and each of these companies have their own source code. They're supporting customers, so your maintenance services, all of that adds to the cost. Are you seeing that as an opportunity where companies are starting to look at, hey, can I get all of these together in a platform?
So there are two distinct opportunities. One on the enterprise software side, where it could be consolidation of products, retiring some products, putting them in a BAU mode, and so on. Second, on the enterprise side, and when I talk of enterprise, think of even online retailers and so on. What is happening there is they are moving from a traditional or a legacy stack to some parts on the cloud, not just for cost optimization, but for business agility. So we are working with one of the largest online retailers, and here they have chosen, for example, Google Cloud. So the whole initiative here is to use not just the lift, shift, and optimize cost, but use analytics to basically streamline business and get even more agility in attracting business customers, whether it's B2B, B2C, and it's like doing a segment of one and making them much agile in their marketing campaigns. And so many different things happening, but all towards increased business agility and reduction of cost.
Got it. So one other dimension, when we talk to CEOs and CXOs, they say that we have collected a whole lot of data. We call it digital transformation 1.0, right? You put all the data, you put it on cloud. Now we are going through this tough macro situation, and we need more tighter control on how we run the company, right? And how do I drive analytics and insights from the data, what we have already collected around customers, employees, business operations. And so that seemed like another trend, what we are seeing. Are you also starting to see analytics as a key area for them to get more control on this ship?
Again, multiple things happening there. It's analytics for their operations, analytics for analyzing the customer behavior, customer requirements. What is it that the analytics can lead to in terms of revenue acceleration? So one is optimizing your own self. The second is revenue acceleration. And third, there's another trend underneath all this, where a number of these companies went to the cloud. A number of these cloud platforms, while they provided them all these flexibility and nimbleness and so on, the costs have spiraled. So they are questioning that as well. So there is something called cloud remediation, digital remediation, that is being talked about now in the CXOs, the boardrooms and so on, where it is about doing all these, what we talked about, but also making sure that this is done prudently. And some of this is not going to the cloud. Some of this is being done on-prem and combination of cloud and so on and so forth to contain costs. So it's getting all the benefits, but doing it at a cost that you can afford.
Got it. You work with companies like OutSystems and Appian, which are largely low-code, some no-code providers. In some level, it's disruptive, right? One say, hey, I can work at a low-cost location, or I can use low-code, no-code solution. Or now with GitHub Copilot, that is going to create codes. When you go and talk to customers as a product engineering service provider or digital transformation provider, do they look at these technology as in some level competition to your engineering capability, or they think of this as augmenting your capability?
This is definitely augmenting the capability. So if you were to do a parallel, if you have a car that is more intelligent, and if it has driver assist in different forms and shapes, it is not a replacement for the driver. It is a tool for the driver to be more safe, more secure. Now, if you look at OutSystems or Appian or any other low-code, no-code company, we are using these platforms for a rapid application modernization or rapid application development. And all of these are tools in the service of the business problems that the customer is trying to solve. And we are truly a trusted partner. At the end of the day, we have to do what is right for the business. And there's enough work for everyone and more to be done. All these are very good tools. And we are seeing big programs one way or the other based on all this.
Great. And you did mention that you're one of the fastest growing engineering services firm. Congratulations. I think it's a great achievement, especially with the kind of a roller coaster ride the market is going through over the last few years. How are you navigating the current scenario, the CEO of one of the fastest growing company?
Pari, it is the same thing that we do with our customers. If we are looking at their business and advising them on how to optimize, we basically dog food our own thoughts ourselves. So just to give you the proof point of that, not only have we increased our business 35% year on year last year, for example, our profitability has improved better than that. So we have not only accelerated our revenues, but we have executed well. Now, underlying that, there are various themes, starting from building a good franchise of capabilities so that we are very relevant to our customer base. So not only have we invested organically in building capabilities over the last several years, we have deployed roughly $200 million of our capital in acquiring more capabilities on the Salesforce stack. So for example, we acquired a company which had MuleSoft capabilities, marketing cloud capabilities. We have acquired companies in the Azure GCP space. We have acquired companies in the BFSI vertical in payments. So wherever we believe there's a addressable market that is very attractive for us in line with our capabilities and where we can become even more sharper a tool in our customers' toolkit, we have put our money to work. And today, based on that, we have been winning even more deals, whether it is our own existing customers or prospects. So it's about bringing the right talent through all these acquisitions and growing our own talent. Last but not the least, see, our industry is a talent-based industry. So we have to, make sure that the talent that we are grooming, nurturing, it is here with us for the longer run. So we have campus programs on one side. On the other side, we have 80% of our employees covered in employee stock option plan, which in our industry is unheard of. And I would say even in the broader industry, there may be only 3 or 4 companies that are public at that scale and who have 80% of their employees covered in the stock option plan. What it means is, as we do well, our employees not only have a very good career path, but they're also creating wealth for themselves. And it is very good for our customers because they get to have, folks who are very good from a technical perspective and who have longevity with the firm and with the customers as they work on.
Great. So it seems like you're doing a lot of things, Sandeep. Give us a view on what a regular day for you looks like.
So a regular day, it's all very exciting. Look, we are working in a global world. So today we are about 22,600 of us globally. A significant amount of our workforce is global: India, Europe, US. So earlier in the day, it starts off with our India side of the house. During the day, it's customers. Sometimes it's customers and investors because we are a public company. We have to take care of our various stakeholders. And the evenings, end up with a few small calls with India and so on. Yeah, there are down times, but this is fun for me. These are exciting times for us. Last 4 years for us has seen pretty good acceleration of revenues, good customer acquisition, and so all good.
Yep. Thanks, Sandeep. Sounds like you're keeping your day very exciting, and your insights around how the enterprise software industry is changing and what are different ways they are improving and optimizing their business, and the role Persistent System is playing as a trusted partner to enable the transformation among your customer base. That's all for today's episode. We'll be back soon with another episode, another industry veteran. Till then, take care and stay curious.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Business Resilience Series. Stay tuned for more such interesting episodes. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. To know more about Zinnov, visit our website, www.zinnov.com, or drop us a note at info@zinnov.com. Follow us on Twitter @Zinnov for regular updates on our content. Thank you again for listening to the Business Resilience Series of the Zinnov Podcast.